in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
I think a new world order is emerging.
An inside job? How dare you? How dare you?
To create, so to say, mass-produced models of human beings arranged in some kind of a scientific caste system.
We shall go on to the end. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall never surrender.
Good day, everybody. This is UCY.tv with the Solvinur Event. It's the 12th of April, 2014. If you go to UCY.tv, you can mouse over shows and hosts, click on any of them. You see a chat room also there. There's a couple of people there, like Banjoy, hey buddy, Ombre, and a couple of anons. Welcome everybody. What's up? How you doing, guys? It's beautiful weather here in the Netherlands. The sun is shining. I say beautiful weather, but of course it's full of chemtrails as usual. I can't remember a day that the sky was just blue. Yeah, it's not gonna happen. That's not the topic for today, though. The topic is the essence of truth. So, if you have any questions, you can paste them in the chat room. Good to hear you're doing great, Banjoy. And I will try to keep an eye on that. If I fail to see your question, you can also Skype me at Solvinur, Solvinur. Send me a contact request and we'll take it from there. I also have another PDF open. It's about Enoch, but it's an apocryphal book of Enoch. This is what it's about. Maybe next week, I don't know. I chose to do the essence of truth for today. Probably not get through all of the content here, but it's a big PDF. So let's get into this. Our topic is the essence of truth. The question regarding the essence of truth is not concerned with whether truth is a truth of a practical experience or of economic calculation, the truth of technical consideration or political sagacity, or, in particular, a truth of scientific research or of artistic composition, or even the truth of thoughtful reflection or of cultic belief. The question of essence disregards all this and attends to the one thing that in general distinguishes every truth as truth. Yet, with this question concerning essence, do we not soar too high into the void of generality which deprives all thinking of breadth? I never understood this sentence. Anyway, does the extravagance of such questioning bring to light the groundlessness of all philosophy? If that were the case, then the philosophy is wrong. A radical thinking that turns to what is actual must surely from the first insist bluntly on establishing the actual truth, which today gives us a measure and a stand against the confusion of opinions and reckonings. Yeah? So, the most important part about this sentence is a radical thinking that turns to what is actual. You see, the truth is nothing if it doesn't have a tie to what actually is, or what is actual. How would that transfer into Dutch, I'm asking myself all of a sudden. Actual. Werkzaam? I'm not sure. That which is workable. The word act is in there. The word act is not so nice word. It's politically tainted, for instance, or it's act on a stage, you know. But that's not what is meant here with actual. Werkelijk. No, it wouldn't be werkelijk either. But that also would translate to something like workable or something. Like acting, working, doing. If you're not acting or working or doing in reality, you might as well be dreaming, you know? It has no effect on reality if your actions have no tie to reality. Alright? In the face of this actual need, what use is the question concerning the essence of truth? This is a philosophical issue, and it is very important. Nowadays in schools you get taught subjective philosophy, which is dehumanizing, as far as I'm concerned. It's a useless philosophy because it has no tie to that which is, or that which is actual. So, the question of concerning the essence of truth is very important, because you have to know what truth is in order to be able to give your actions a direction in reality, you know? Alright, so in the face of this actual need, what use is the question concerning the essence of truth? This quote-unquote abstract question that disregards everything actual. Is not the question of essence the most inessential and superfluous that could be asked? Okay, I hope he's going to give more explanation here. It says, no one can evade the evident certainty of these considerations. None can lightly neglect their compelling seriousness. But what is it that speaks in these considerations? Quote-unquote, sound common sense. It harps on the demand for palpable utility and inveighs against knowledge of the essence of beings, which essential knowledge has long been called philosophy. Alright? Common sense has its own necessity. It asserts its right with a weapon peculiarly suitable to it, namely appeal to the obviousness of its claims and considerations. However, philosophy can never refute common sense. That's correct. For the latter, it is deaf to the language of philosophy. Nor may it even wish to do so, since common sense is blind to what philosophy sets before its essential vision. Really? Is that so? What kind of philosophy is he talking about? I don't get this. Anyway, let's continue. Moreover, we ourselves remain within the sensibleness of common sense to the extent that we suppose ourselves to be secure in those multiform truths of practical experience and action, of research, composition and belief. We ourselves intensify that resistance with the obvious has to every demand made by what is questionable. Therefore, even if some questioning concerning truth is necessary, what we then demand is an answer to the question as to where we stand today. Hey Lady Pitbull, how you doing? We want to know what our situation is today. We call for the goal which should be posited for man in and for his history. We want the actual truth. Alright? But in calling for the actual truth, we must already know what truth as such means. Yeah, that sounds okay, right? Or do we know this only by feeling in a general way? That is subjectivism. Alright? Your feelings do not necessarily point to that which is real. Alright, so if you want to find truth, the feelings can point you in the wrong direction. Alright, but is not such vague knowing and our indifference regarding it more desolate than the sheer ignorance of the essence of truth? Alright, you know he's coming up with one. The usual concept of truth. What do we ordinarily understand by truth? This elevated, yet at the same time worn and almost dulled word truth means what makes a true thing true. What makes a true thing true? How does he mean that? Let me see if I can make this understandable for myself in Dutch. What makes a true thing true? Wat een echt ding werkelijk maakt. Like that. Alright, so let me translate it back to English for you guys. So I'm gonna adjust the sentence a bit. This elevated yet at the same time worn and almost dulled word truth means what makes a real thing true. Alright? Or what makes a true thing real. What is a true thing? We say, for example, it is a true joy to cooperate in the accomplishment of this task. We mean that it is purely and actually a joy. The true is the actual. Accordingly, we speak of true gold in distinction from false. False gold is not actually what it appears to be. It is merely a semblance and thus not actual. What is not actual is taken to be the opposite of the actual. Yeah, duh. But what merely seems to be gold is nevertheless something actual. Alright? Accordingly, we say more precisely, actual gold is genuine gold. Yet both are actual. Yeah? Tegenwoordig is probably a Dutch word that would fit here. I don't know. Present. Alright? They are both present. See? Yet both are actual. The circulating counterfeit no less than the genuine gold. What is true about genuine gold thus cannot be demonstrated merely by its actuality. No, of course not. You have to look at properties of stuff as well. The question recurs, what do genuine and true mean here? Genuine gold is that the actual gold, the actuality of which is in accordance, and now he's throwing in some German here, in Übereinstimmung steht, in der Übereinstimmung steht, eenstemmigheid, one-voiceness, I guess. Alright? Genuine gold is that actual gold, the actuality of which is in accordance, or is in one voice, with that, with what, I mean, always and in advance we properly mean by gold. Conversely, wherever we suspect false gold, we say, here is something not in accord. And again, he's using German terms. Stimmt nicht. That's a strange word. Stimmen. Sounds like voices again. Nicht is not. On the other hand, we say of whatever is as it should be. It is in accord. The matter is in accord. Alright, again in German. Die Sache stimmt. The Zaak, we would say. You could translate that from German to Dutch. Die Sache. The Zaak. You can hear the etymological ties there, right? That also means a business. Alright, so the matter is in accord. The business is okay. Die Sache stimmt. However, we call true not only an actual joy, genuine gold, and all beings of such kind, but also, and above all, we call true or false are statements about beings, which can themselves be genuine or not with regard to their kind, which can be thus or otherwise in their actuality. A statement is true if what it means and says is in accordance with the matter about which the statement is made. Alright? I would say something like, a statement is true if what it means is in accordance with reality. Alright? Here too we say it is in accord. Now though it is not the matter that is in accord, but rather the proposition. Alright. This dual character of the accord is brought to light by the traditional definition of truth. Veritas est adequatio re et intellectus. Okay. That's Latin or something. This can be taken to mean truth is the correspondence of the matter to knowledge. Alright? That sounds like rhetoric, doesn't it? But it can also be taken as saying truth is the correspondent of knowledge to matter. Yeah, that's what you just said. Admittedly, the above definition is usually stated only in the formula veritas est adequatio intellectus ad rem. Truth is the adequation of intellect to thing. Adequation? Angleichung in German. Sounds like make the same. But in the previous sentence it sounded more like rhetoric. Alright, so of course your rhetoric has to be founded and grounded on truth, right? Why else did you take the first two steps? Grammar and logic, right? Those are to find truth, which is non-contradictionary, you see? Yet, continuing here, yet truth, so conceived, propositional truth, is possibly only on the basis of material truth. Both concepts of the essence of veritas, that's truth, have continually in view in view a conforming to, and hence think truth as correctness. Alright? He's using another German word here, Richtigkeit. Sounds, in the Dutch sounds like gelijk, like that's the same, but the word richtig sounds more like rechtig, right? Etymologically, ties to recht, alright, which is correct, but also a lot of other things, like we have the Dutch word rechtbank, which is court, you know, where you look at the judge. You know, they call it a bank, a correct bank, if you would translate it literally. Alright, so financial things are treated there. They don't call it a bank for nothing, you know. Nonetheless, continuing, the one is not the mere inversion of the other. On the contrary, in each case, intellectus and res are thought differently. Now, I don't know exactly what the res is. That's probably Latin or something. In order to recognize this, we must trace the usual formula for the ordinary concept of truth back to its most recent, that is medieval, origin. Is that the most recent? I can go further back than that. Okay, it's the most recent, so yeah, less further back than that then. Medieval? Concept of truth back to its most recent origin, and then they say medieval. Alright? I don't get that. Is there some philosopher or something that, you know, said, okay, this is the truth, guys? What's he talking about? Veritas as adequatio re ad intellectum does not imply, jeez, I don't read Latin, man. Does not imply the latter transcendental conception of Kant. Och jee, Kant. Possibly only in the basis of possibly only on the basis of the subjectivity of man's essence. Alright, see? Kant and subjectivism, they tie together. Kant has destroyed philosophy. Alright? According to Kant, there is no such thing as truth. Well, then you're not allowed to call yourself a philosopher in the first place, as far as I'm concerned. You're just messing up things. That object conform to our knowledge. Yeah. That's, it should be the other way around. Alright? If, the knowledge you have about a certain topic is incorrect, then you are not talking truth. If the knowledge you have about a certain object is correct, then you have truth, not that your objects conform to the knowledge. You don't change reality just by thinking differently about it, okay? You can't change reality. Continuing, rather, it implies the Christian theological belief that, with respect to what it is and whether it is a matter as created, is only insofar as it corresponds to the idea preconceived in the intellectus divinius, in the mind of God, and thus measures up to the idea, and in this sense is true. Alright? That sounds more like religion to me. You know, God is going to tell you what is true, because it came up in the mind of God, therefore it is true. Poof! Which God, you know? The intellectus humanus, too, is an ens creatum. Oh my God, why can't he speak English? What is it with all this Latin stuff in there? As a capacity bestowed upon man by God, it must satisfy its idea. But understanding measures up to the idea only by accomplishing it in its propositions the correspondence of what is thought to the matter, which in its turn must be in conformity with the idea. Yeah, this sounds rather Platonian-like, you know. Plato also such a mystic, you know. They're talking about conformity with the idea here. No, if your ideas have to conform with reality if you want to talk truth, if you want to know truth. Not the other way around. Not that truth comes from some idea. That's Platoism. If all beings are created, okay, how do you know that? Right? So that's another thing. How do you know beings are created? You're talking about truth here. It ties to reality. There's no difference between the two. Reality is that what is, alright? And me, as a philosopher, I'm telling you that which is has no beginning and no end. Alright? So, in that case, beings cannot be created, because then you would have a beginning. And since you are, that's the truth, as far as I'm concerned. You are just as I am, you know. You have no beginning or no end, and you are not created. Not in the sense that we use the word created here. Anyway, let's try and read this. If all beings are quote-unquote created, the possibility of the truth of human knowledge is grounded in the fact that matter and proposition measure up to the idea in the same way, and therefore are fitted to each other on the basis of the unity of the divine plan of creation. Yeah, we might as well throw that in the garbage, you know. Yeah. It says here that human knowledge is grounded in the fact that matter and proposition measure up to the idea. No. Your idea should change according to the truthfulness you find, to the reality you find. Maybe I'm reading this wrong, but here he comes with more Latin. Veritas as adequatio rei creandea, that's probably creation or something, ad intellectum divinium, that's like godlike, divinium, guarantees veritas as adequatio intellectus humani and ad rem creatam. Wow, my. Let's hope he gives a translation here. I don't think so. Throughout, veritas essentially implies convenientia. Convenientia? The coming of beings themselves as created into agreement with the Creator, in accord with the regard to the way they are determined in the order of creation. This is religion, guys. This has nothing to do with truth. But this order, detached from the notion of creation, can also be represented in a general and indefinite way as a world order. What the hell? Huh. The theologically conceived order of creation is replaced by the capacity of all objects to be planned by means of a worldly reason. He's using another German word, Weltvernunft. Vernunft is reason, Welt is world. Vernunft, yeah, that sounds like 9. Interesting. Let's try this again. The theologically conceived order of creation is replaced by the capacity of all objects to be planned by means of a worldly reason, which applies the law for itself and thus also claims that its procedure is immediately intelligible, what is considered logical, that the essence of a propositional truth consists of the correctness of statements need no further special proof. Alright? No, this is not Tragedy and Hope, Lady Pitbull. This is Martin Heidegger on the essence of truth. I don't know who he is, this Martin Heidegger, but even where an effort is made with a conspicuous lack of success to explain how correctness is to occur, it is already presupposed as being the essence of truth. Likewise, material truth always signifies the consonance of something at hand with the rational concept of its essence. The impression arises that this definition of the essence of truth is independent of the interpretation of the essence of the being of all beings. Which always includes a corresponding interpretation of the essence of man as the bearer and executor of intellectus. That's no problem, lady. Blah, blah. Thus, the formula for the essence of truth comes to have its general validity as something immediately evident to everyone. Under the domination of the obviousness which this concept of truth seems to have, but what is hardly attended to as regards its essential grounds, it is considered equally obvious that truth has an opposite, and that there is untruth. Is that so? Truth has an opposite, and it says untruth? I suppose so, but even if something is not true, then that is true, that it is not true. The untruth of the proposition is the non-accordance of the statement with the matter. Yeah, you see, so I would say untruth is more like a contradiction, you know? It's incorrect, non-accordance. The untruth of the matter signifies non-agreement of a being with its essence. Alright. In each case, untruth is conceived as a non-accord. The latter falls outside the essence of truth. Therefore, when it is a question of comprehending the pure essence of truth, untruth, as such an opposite of truth, can be put aside. Alright, so forget about untruth then. But then, is there any further need at all for a special unveiling? See, that's the correct word. Not reveal, but unveiling. Of the essence of truth. It is not the pure essence of truth already adequately represented in the generally accepted concept, which is upset by no theory and is secured by its obviousness. Moreover, if we take the tracing back of propositional truth to material truth to be what in the first instance it shows itself to be, namely a theological explanation, and if we then keep the philosophical definition completely pure of all admixture of theology and limit the concept of truth to propositional truth, then we encounter an old, though not the oldest, tradition of thinking, according to which truth is the accordance of a statement with a matter. Alright, the accordance is homoiosis, statement is logos, and matter is pragma. So, the traditional way of thinking seems to come from Greece. What is it about statements that here remain still worthy of question, granted that we know what is meant by accordance of a statement with a matter? Alright. Statements. Uitspraak. Yeah, that's interesting. Do you remember a couple of minutes ago I was talking about a court in Dutch, that's a rechtbank. And in rechtbank you do uitspraak, which is speaking out, literally translated that is. But statement is also uitspraak, speaking out, you know? Let's see what continues here. The essence of truth, says Dan in the chat, on Plato's parable of the cave. Alright. His parable of the cave is misleading. There's a group of people that have been tied up in a cave, and there's a fire behind them and they can't look back, and all they see is the shadows on the wall that is created by the fire. And the one who has the best explanation about how these shadows are created is considered the best philosopher, okay? It's something like that. I'm tearing up the story here, but... And at one point, one prisoner gets loose, and he sees the fire. And now all of a sudden he sees that the fire is responsible for creating the shadows, alright? So he's uncovered one truth, you see? But then he continues on his journey out of the cave, alright? You could also say continues his journey out of ignorance. And he comes outside and he sees other people, and according to the Plato story, he now for the first time in his life sees the sun. Alright? The sun in Plato's story is his mystical idea of forms. You see, there is in Plato's idea, there's a reality of forms, which is not material. Right, that's the sun in this case, you see, but that's mystical. He says there's a reality out there, and it's a reality of forms, and it's not that there is a shoe there, no, or a television, no, there is shoeness and televisionness out there. You know, he's crazy as far as I'm concerned. He would claim that the television came into material reality because in his reality of forms, there is something called televisionness. Are you kidding me? He's nuts as far as I'm concerned. So... keep that in mind if you hear people speak about this Plato cave. We speak of accordance in various senses. We say, for example, considering 2 5-mark coins lying on the table. They are in accordance with one another. They come into accord in the oneness in their outward appearance. Hence they have the latter in common. And thus they are in this regard alike. Furthermore, we speak of accordance whenever, for example, we state regarding one of the 5 mark coins, this coin is round. Here the statement is in accordance with the thing. Alright? Now the relation obtains not between thing and thing, but rather between a statement and a thing. But wherein are the thing and the statement supposed to be in accordance? Considering that the relata are manifestly different in their outward appearance. The coin is made of metal. The statement is not material at all. The coin is round. The statement has nothing at all spatial about it. When with the coin something can be purchased, the statement about it is never a means of payment. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, he's a bit messing around with the idea of what truth is here. But in spite of all their dissimilarity, the above statement, as true, is in accordance with the coin. And according to the usual concept of truth, this accord is supposed to be a correspondence. How can what is completely dissimilar, the statement, correspond to the coin? Is that so hard? It would have to become the coin, and in this way relinquish itself entirely. The statement never succeeds in doing that. The moment it did, it would no longer be able as a statement to be in accordance with the thing. In the correspondence, the statement must remain, indeed even first become, what it is. In what does its essence, so thoroughly different from everything, consist? How is the statement able to correspond to something else, the thing, precisely by persisting in its own essence? I don't see what he's getting so tied up about here. The coin is round. What's the fracking problem? Correspondence here cannot signify a thing like approximation between dissimilar kinds of things. The essence of the correspondence is determined rather by the kind of relation that obtains between the statement and the thing. Alright, the relation between the statement and the thing. Alright, if the coin is round, for instance, if it doesn't relate to the thing, then you might as well just shut up, you know? So what's the problem again? As long as this relation remains undetermined and is not grounded in its essence, all dispute over the possibility and impossibility over the nature and degree of the correspondent loses its way in a void. But the statement regarding the coin relates itself to this thing, in that it presents it and says of the presented how, according to the particular perspective that guides it, it is disposed. Alright, he's using another German word here, voorstelt. It's almost exactly the same in Dutch, voorstellen. Alright, that would be, here he translated as presents. Alright, pre is before. Sense would be stelt. Alright, stelt is a word that ties to staan, to stand. Alright. Voorstellen is also your imagination. Alright, voorstellen is also a proposition. Alright, so our language is kind of too complicated. You know, these words have different meanings. And some tie and some tie not, it seems. Present, that word, also means, in Dutch we also use the same word present. It means you are there. You are aanwezig in Dutch. You're actually there, right? You're present. Yeah. What is stated by the presentative statement is said of the presented thing in just such manner as that thing as presented is the such as. Oh, I should have read that differently. What is stated by the presentative statement is said of the presented thing in just such manner as that thing as presented is. Alright? The such as has to do with the presenting and it's presented. Disregarding all psychological preconceptions, as well as those of any theory of consciousness, to present here means to let the thing stand opposed as object, and thus placed, what stands opposed must traverse an open field of opposedness. Using another German word here, entgegen, to be opposed. Entgegen, tegen, we say in Dutch. Here it's gegen. Dutch tegen, you can hear the etymological tie there, right? It means against. And nevertheless must maintain its stand as a thing and show itself as something withstanding. Einstandiges. He's using another German word here. This appearing of the thing in traversing a field of opposedness takes place within an open region. I don't get what he's getting here. What he's getting at here. Let's try this again. As thus placed, what stands opposed? What do you mean, what stands opposed? You know? Must traverse an open field of opposedness, and nevertheless must maintain its stand as a thing and show itself as something withstanding, right? This appearing of the thing in traversing a field of opposedness takes place within an open region, the openness of which is not first created by the presenting, but rather is only entered into and taken over as a domain of relatedness. Why does he have to be so difficult here? You know, I would say something like, as thus placed, it's trying this again, as thus placed, what stands opposed must traverse an open field of opposedness. Now, I'm not getting here what he means, what stands opposed. You know, he's talking about something that is withstanding, right? And the field that he's talking about of opposedness is just your ability to sense things with your five senses. Alright, how otherwise can you speak of an object here? Alright, so I would say this ties to grammar, what he's trying to speak here. Alright? Grammar you get by using your five senses. That's how I would simply put this complicated sentence here. Let's continue. The relation of the presentative statement to the thing is the accomplishment of that bearing, verhaltnis, another German word, which originally and always comes to prevail as a comportment. Verhalten, another German word. But all comportment is distinguished by the fact that, standing in an open region, it adheres to something opened up as such. What is thus opened up, solely in this strict sense, was experienced early in Western thinking as what is present, and for a long time has been named being. Ah, really? Right, that which is. Okay. Comportment stands open to beings. Every open relatedness is a comportment. Man's open stance varies depending on the kind of beings and the way of comportment. All working and achieving, all action and calculation keep within an open region within which beings, with regard to what they are and how they are, can properly take their stand and become capable of being said. This can occur only if beings present themselves along with the presentative statement, so that the latter subordinates itself to the directive that it speak of beings such as they are. In following such a directive, the statement conforms to beings. Alright? Speech that directs itself accordingly is correct or true. What is thus said is the correct or true. A statement is invested with its correctness by the openness of comportment. Alright, let's see what we get here. Let's put this in the dictionary. Copy that and find the dictionary. Dictionary, paste, define. Comportment, personal bearing or conduct. How do we fit that in here? A statement is invested with its correctness by the openness of comportment. Conduct, bearing. I don't get what he's getting at here. For only through the latter can what is opened up really become the standard for the presentative correspondence. Alright, let's skip some of this here. Let's move on to 3. The ground of the possibility of correctness. Whence does the presentative statement receive the directive to conform to the object and to the accord by way of correctness? Why is this accord involved in determining the essence of truth? Why is this accord involved in determining the essence of truth? Well, how can something like the accomplishment of a pre-given directedness occur, and how can the initiation into an accord occur? Only if this pre-given has already entered freely into an open region for something opened up which prevails there and which binds everything presenting. Jesus, what kind of English is this guy using? I mean, he's dazzling me, you know? To free oneself for a binding directedness is possible only by being free for what is opened up in an open region. Huh? Such being free points to the heretofore uncomprehended essence of freedom. The openness of comportment as the inner condition of the possibility of correctness is grounded in freedom. The essence of truth is freedom, he says. That's the first normal sentence here in a long time. Alright? The essence of truth is freedom. Alright? I can live with that. The essence of truth is freedom. Yeah. Okay, so the Dutch word for freedom is vrijheid. Alright? So free is vrij. You hear the etymological tie there, right? Dutch have a strange idea about what freedom is, though, I can tell you that. But does not this proposition regarding the essence of correctness substitute one obvious item for another? How is that? In order to be able to carry out any act, and therefore one of presentative stating, and even of accordance or not according with the truth, the actor must of course be free. Blah, blah. Is that so? However, the proposition in question does not really mean that an unconstrained act belongs to the execution of the statement, to its pronouncement and reception. Rather, the proposition says that freedom is the essence of truth itself. Freedom and truth. So how do they relate, huh? I don't know if he's coming from a theological standpoint here. But this is one of the philosophical views about it, is that first there was God, okay, that's always how it starts. And God has certain properties, and one of them is that he's free. Right? Nobody tells God what to do, you see. He can do whatever he wants, he's free. Whatever he does has no consequences. Alright? In that sense, he's also free. I mean, whatever he does has no consequences for him personally. Let's put it that way. Alright? Nobody can judge him. Alright? So, theologically, and I'm not one of those, you know, I don't agree with all this religious talk. But they say that truth and reality and God, there's no difference between any of them. Alright? So, and because God is free, there is a relation between truth and freedom, you see? Yeah. What I would like to say about freedom, especially in regards to people, is that it is out of this world. It's ridiculous. It's unheard of. It's inhumane or unhuman that people have less freedom than birds do, or ants, right? Or spiders, or cats, or trees even. You know? People are less free than animals. Now what does that say about the state of our society, you know? Alright. However, the proposition in question, did we already do that? In this connection, essence is understood as the ground of the inner possibility of what is initially and generally admitted as known. Nevertheless, in the concept of freedom, we do not think truth, and certainly not at all its essence. The proposition that the essence of truth is freedom must consequently seem strange. Well, it doesn't seem so strange to me. To place the essence of truth in freedom doesn't this mean to submit truth to human caprice? Can truth be any more radically undermined than by being surrendered to the arbitrariness of this wavering reed? Right? Well, I guess it depends on what you think freedom is, right? What forced itself upon sound judgment again and again in the previous discussion now all the more clearly comes to light. Truth is here driven back to the subjectivity of the human subject. Yeah, that's what I just alluded to. It depends on what you think freedom is. Alright, if you think that freedom is not something universal, yeah, then you've got a problem. Then it doesn't relate to truth at all. Even if an objectivity is also accessible to this subject, still such objectivity remains along with subjectivity something human and at man's disposal. Alright, so freedom is not subjective. No. Certainly, deceit and dissimulation, lies and deception, illusion and semblance, in short, all kinds of untruth, are ascribed to man. Alright, so that is correct. One of the first few sentences that he's speaking plainly. So, see, because reality is what it is, regardless of what man thinks about it. See, illusion is named here. But of course, untruth is also the opposite of truth. Yeah. I don't know about that. You know, I'm a philosopher myself, I always say, right? I mean, even if you say, for instance, this is not true about something, then that statement can be true, right? Yeah. Non-truth to me is more like a contradiction. Then you know that something is wrong. All right. For this reason, as the non-essence of truth, it is appropriately excluded from the sphere of questioning concerning the pure essence of truth. This human origin of untruth indeed only serves to confirm, by contrast, the essence of truth in itself as holding sway beyond man. Alright, so untruth only exists, that's me speaking here, untruth only exists in the minds of man. Alright, in nature, there's no such thing as untruth. In nature, there's no such thing as a contradiction. Alright? Continuing, metaphysics regards such truth as the imperishable and eternal. Yeah. Imperishable and eternal. Hold on, guys, gotta switch a window here. So I can see, oh, you guys are quiet in the chat. I haven't said a word. Almost. Yeah, indeed, Dan. Yeah. Let's see. They were using two terms here, imperishable and eternal, alright? Now, there's one thing, this is from Eastern philosophy, guys, what he's talking about here. Imperishable and eternal. That's Eastern philosophy. And I've accepted one of their statements, and that is, that which is has no beginning and no end. Alright, that sounds like eternal, right? But that's just because of the way that I see what reality is, what truth is, what existence is. Now, bestaan, existence in Dutch is bestaan, to stand, that which stands, you see. And they say it's imperishable. That's another quote unquote, it's a absolute term. You see, the truth, according to the Eastern philosophies, is absolute. They call it the absolute truth. You see, and the rest to them, according to them, is illusion. Alright, so according to them, anything that has a beginning is illusionary, because it changes and has a period of seeming to be in existence, and then withers away. And therefore, according to them, because it's not imperishable and eternal, it is not true. It's an illusion. Okay, that's too far-fetched, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, when I say like truth or reality has no beginning or no end, that doesn't mean that things appearing and disappearing in reality have no value, you know? That's taking it to an extreme if you put it like that. If you say, well, it's just an illusion, you know, that takes away all the value. And I don't think you should do that. Living beings come into existence, they live a certain time, and then they die. That has value. It's in my opinion, it's even, it's a mind sickness to call that illusion. Okay, so again, metaphysics regards such truth as the imperishable and eternal, which can never be founded on the transitoriness and fragility that belongs to man's essence. Yeah, I don't know what he thinks, what man's essence is here. How then can the essence of truth still have its substance and its ground in human freedom? Yeah, see, he's talking about human freedom here. Probably he meant all of the time, he meant human freedom. You know, and why would he not talk about a bird's freedom or a crocodile's freedom? You know? It's pretty restricted to speak of human freedom, especially since humans are the ones that are not free. Resistance to the proposition that the essence of truth is freedom is based on preconceptions, the most obstinate of which is that freedom is a property of man. Yeah, okay, so that preconception should be dumped. Throw it in the garbage can. The essence of freedom neither needs nor allows any further questioning. Everyone knows what man is. Oh, really? Okay, he's going into the next quote-unquote chapter here. Let's hope it makes a little bit more sense, to me at least. Because sometimes I think my English is just not good enough for this, but... However, indication of the essential connection between truth as correctness and freedom uproots these preconceptions. Yeah? Granted, of course, that we are prepared for a transformation of thinking. Consideration of the essential connection between truth and freedom leads us to pursue the question of the essence of man in a regard which assures us an experience of a concealed essential ground of man, of Dasein. Of Dasein, I thought he was talking about somebody here, but he's using another German word. Dasein? Is it really? Is he using a German word or is he using a name of somebody here? Let's see what we get. In the dictionary, it's probably not even there. No, see, it's not there. This is a German word. But then he spelled it wrong. It is das sein, niet das sein. It's not one word here. It's two words. It's das, which is that, and sein, which is to be. Alright? Poof. And in such a manner that the experience transposes us in advance into the originally essential domain of truth. Yeah. But here it becomes evident also that freedom is the ground of the inner possibility of correctness only because it receives its own essence from the more original essence of uniquely essential truth. Jeez, he's making it way too difficult here, guys. Iota, das sein, would be spelled like that, as I put it in the chat room. Here, the writer here spells it D-A-S-E-I-N, as in one word. Alright, so that doesn't make sense to me. It's two words. Alright, so it's either as I spelled it, or it's das ein, which is the one. Yeah. So that doesn't make sense. You know, it's probably zu sein, as Dan Cooper put it, right? You know? To be. Alright? Sein is the German word. In Dutch, it's almost the same. It's zijn. Right? You can hear the etymological tie there. Sind is also a German word, which ties to the English to be. Yeah. Okay, let's see. I think I'm gonna skip all of this. He's making it way too difficult, as far as I'm concerned. He's talking about existent here, and he's having a very strange way of putting it. He says E-K dash S-I-S-T-E-N-T, existent. What? Why do you have to write it like that? And then over and over again, right? Scrolling through this, guys, because I'm gonna skip this. I think it was a bad idea to do this. Here he uses a word again. Let me try and find this in a German dictionary then. Let's see what we get. Dutch woordenboek. Hold on, guys. Dutch woordenboek. That is Dutch for German dictionary. Woordenboek, dictionary. Is this a Duits woordenboek? Duits, vertaling Nederland-Duits? Nee, ik moet Duits-Nederlands hebben, joh. Duits, Nederlands, that's Duits-Nederlands woordenboek. That's Dutch for German, Netherlands woordenboek, dictionary. NL, Dutch, yeah, here, let's see what we get here. Paste that there, and see what we get. Oh, it is a word, apparently. It means existence. How about that, huh? Existeren, yeah, see? To be present also. To be prepared even. Das Sein. It is a German word. Well, how about that? Yeah, apparently it is a German word. Das Sein equals existence. Ha! So, but it is the same as what I'm saying, right? Das Sein. Which means, those are two words, das and sein, typing it in the chat again. It would also translate to existence. Because it's to be. Das Sein is to be. From the verb. Sein. To be. Alright, das Sein is a German word which means being there or presence. German, da, there, sein. Being, da sein. Ah, niet das sein, maar da sein. Aha. Da is there, and sein is being. Often translated in English with the word existence. Yeah. Existence. No, existence, no iota. I would use another way of tearing apart that word, existence. You, X is out, East is X, let me put it this way, X is out, alright. East is another German word, alright, is to be, alright. And then you have stands, which is stand, alright? So you get that which is outside, that which stands outside, existence. See, X is out, is to be, stands is stand. I'm not quite sure if this is correct, but that's how I would tear apart this word. Yeah. Why does he have to use like 3 languages here to talk about truth? Why not just one, you know? He's throwing German and English and Latin all together, you know. How does he think that everybody speaks German and English and Latin? Come on. Stay in one English. Stay in one language, I mean. Alright, scrolling along here because this is, I'm going to throw this away, guys. Poof, there you go. Next one. Next thing I have open is either, and you guys in the chat can say what you want. Because I got 2 things open, and the Quigley, Tragedy and Hope, and Enoch. Alright, we only have 40 minutes left or so. Alright, let's start with Enoch then. And we'll probably pick this up next week because I think this will be interesting. Enoch is the name of 4 biblical persons. Alright, not going to give all of these names here. Only the second is of importance. Alright. The second is the son of Jared, Genesis verse 18. It doesn't even give a chapter here. Some Genesis verse 18. Oh, it's Genesis 5:18. That's also something stupid, right? I mean, it's between brackets, and then you're using the Roman numeral V for 5, and then paste 1/8 numbers. If you're gonna use language, do it fracking properly. Don't confuse people with using 2 different systems of numeration in one little sentence between brackets. Seriously, he does it more here. Genesis XLVI, and then a 9, a numeral 9. If you're gonna be using Roman numbers, do it for the 9 also, so at least I know what I'm looking at. Christ. Of these, the second alone is of importance and interest for us, not only on account of the mysterious prominence given him in Genesis 5, but especially from the fact that an inspired writer of the New Testament, Jude, in his letter, verse 14, mention him as a prophet and produces a quotation from a book attributed to the patriarch. The existence of such a book does not, however, rest on the authority of the statement alone. Alright? But in the early literature of the church, there is a whole chain of evidences to this effect. Alright, so apparently there is such a thing as the Book of Enoch. Okay, you can just draw that conclusion. Nearly all of the church fathers knew of an apocryphal Book of Enoch. Apocryphal means it has been taken out of your Bible. And why is that? Now you have to ask yourself, why did they take out these books? And their description of the work and citations from it prove satisfactorily that it was virtually the same as that which now lies before us. Alright, so he's probably got some translation of the Book of Enoch in front of him. Among the apostolic fathers, the Epistle of Barnabas refers to such a work. In chapter 4, and then 3, which is it? Chapter 4, and then something 3 of that letter, Enoch is cited, and the character of the quotations point to chapter 80 of our book as its probable source, while in the statement of the same epistle, XVI, that's 16, epistle 16, 5, although the last two are transcribed the authorized versions of Hanoch, the others Enoch. Although introduced with the important words. And then it says GTR, I don't know what that is. We find almost the very words of Enoch 89:56. From that time on to about the 7th century Christian literature, to which alone we owe the preservation of the important work, produces ample proof of the constant use and high standing of this book. Okay. Beside the Jewish Christian Testament, a production of the 2nd century, the church fathers Justin Martyr, Clement of Alexandria, Origen, Irenaeus, Tertullian, Eusebius. Oh, here, Eusebius is even coming in the picture here. It stands out to me because here in my city we have something called the Eusebius Church, and the Eusebius inside and outside ways. Yeah. Jerome, Hilary. Epiphanes, Augustine, and others refer to and use it. So now you know where the word Hilary comes from. The majority of these statements are indeed simply allusions and general references, but they are of such a character that their source of the present Book of Enoch can generally be found to a certainty. The writers in this respect following the example of Jude, whose citation is taken from Enoch 1, chapter 1, verse 9. And it is not a literal reproduction. The fathers all, with possibly the one dissenting voice of Tertullian, deny the canonicity of this book. And properly regard it as apocryphal. Yeah. Because it's not in your Bible. Right? That's why it's called apocryphal. Some going even as far to deny the canonicity of Jude because he had dared to quote an apocryphal work. The precedent for this step was given in the Apostolic Constitution, 616 in strong words, where, after the time of Augustine, the period of literary death robbed the church of many of their noblest monuments of literature. Yeah, and who did that? Right? How does he mean robbed the church? Doesn't he mean robbed the people? The book of Enoch too was lost. Yeah? How do these things get lost? I would say they were occulted. They were hidden. And later investigation had to be content with the references in the Fathers and a few extracts made by the learned monk of the 8th century, Georgius Syncellus, in his chronography. A short time after him, in the 9th century, the book is mentioned as an apocryphon of the New Testament by the Patriarch Nicephorus. The fragments preserved by Syncellus, varying indeed in minor points of expression, are still virtually an extract from the book as we have it now. They are divided into two parts, the first containing chapters 6.1 to chapters 9.4, the second chapter 8.4 to chapter 10.4. Right, so they're overlapping. And chapter 15.8 to chapter 16.1. In addition to which there is a small part not found in the Ethiopic. There is a small part not found? So how do you know that there is such a small part if you didn't find it? Here comes into consideration also a small fragment of the Greek Enoch found after the discovery and publications of the Ethiopic version. Alright, so there's probably a portion not found because they find chapters, let's say 18 or something, just an example, and 16, but they can't find 17, right? But they know that it has to be there somehow. We refer to the Greek text of chapter 89, verse 42 to 49, written with tachographical notes and published from a Codex Vaticanus in facsimile by Anglomia in Parum Nova Bibliotheca, Volume 2. These verses were deciphered by Professor Gildemeister, alright, who published his results in the Zeitschrift, that's Deutsch, that's German again, the magazine, called Morgenland. Alright? Morgenland Gesellschaft even. Or Morgenland. I don't know. In Jewish literature, the Book of Enoch did not stand in such high regard as it did among Christian writers, and consequently was not so extensively used. It was, however, neither unknown nor ignored altogether. Already in the works so frequently cited in early Christian literature as GTR, what the hell is GTR? A production of the first Christian century, of the first Christian century. This PDF is mixing it up. The references are frequent and unmistakable. A comparison of the statements of this book of the Jubilees, especially page 17 SQ of the Ethiopic text, with those of Enoch, forces us to the conclusion that the author of the former book could not have written as he did without an exact knowledge of the contents of the latter. Yeah? Copying stuff, you know? Of the use made of the book by later Jewish writers, we have a brief account by A. Jelinek in, again, the magazine, Zeitschrift. The clearest example in this respect is found in Zohar, Volume 2, Parasha. Parasha? That sounds Indian. Comperimus in libro Hanochi, yeah? Enoch, Deum Ili, and then more of these words that are unpronounceable for me. Let's see where it stops. It stops here in Volume 1, Parasha Bereshit. Yeah, that's Indian, guys. I know these languages. Parasha Bereshit, that's Indian, from India. Strange, huh? How do these terms get into Book of Enoch? How do they relate to Book of Enoch? You know? There is a remark that covers about the same ground, with the additional statement that the Book of Enoch was handed down to him from the time when he began to associate with super-terrestrial beings? Excuse me? Is that why there are Indian terminology in here? Because they were talking to Indians who were mistaken for super-terrestrial beings? Huh. The existence of such a Book of Enoch, made certain from these numerous quotations, was the source of considerable perplexity and anxiety to Christian theologians, and numerous and curious were the conjectures concerning its authorship and character. In the beginning of the 17th century, it was confidentially asserted that the book, mourned as lost, was to be found in an Ethiopic translation in Abyssinia, and the learned Capuchin monk Perisius brought an Ethiopic book which was claimed to be the identical one quoted by Jude and the Fathers, Ludolf, and the great Ethiopic scholar in the 17th and 18th centuries. However, soon proved it to be a miserable production of a certain Abba Bahaila Michael. Better success attended the efforts of the famous English traveller James Bruce, who discovered 3 copies of the book and brought them in 1773 with him to Europe. One of these found its way into the Bodleian Library. The other was presented to the Royal Library in France. The third was kept by Bruce. Since that time, other copies have been brought from Abyssinia. Strange to say, no use was made of these important documents until the year 1800. Okay, just checking the chat, guys. The documents were only used in 1800, when Sylvester de Sacy, or de Sacy, in his Notice sur le livre d'Enoch, in the magazine Encyclopédique, gave as specimens of the book the extracts and Latin translation. So now it's coming from Ethiopia and has a Latin translation. It's a French guy who takes books from Ethiopia and has a Latin translation. Can you guys make it any more complicated? of chapters 1, 2, 5 to 16, chapters 22 and 32, from which then in 1801 a German translation was made. Yeah. There again the matter rested until 1821, when Professor Lawrence, afterwards Archbishop of Cashel, published an English translation from the MS, I don't know what that is, in the Bodleian, with the title The Book of Enoch, the Prophet, an apocryphal production, supposed to have been lost for ages, but discovered at the close of the last century in Abyssinia. Alright, so where is that, Abyssinia? Let me check that. I can't copy this. No, interesting PDF where you can't copy stuff. Fracking nonsense. Now translated from an Ethiopic MS again. I don't know what that is. Main script? I have no clue. In the Bodleian Library, Oxford, 1821. The second edition of his work appeared in 1833, the third in 1838. In the same year in which the third edition appeared, Lawrence edited the Ethiopic text. Okay, I can't read these words. Both text and translations are unreliable and must now be regarded as entirely antiquated. Okay, why? Why do you say that? Lawrence edited the Ethiopic text as Libre Enoch Prophetia Versio Ethiopica. Okay, so these texts and translations are unreliable, according to this writer anyway. Lawrence's text is divided into 105 chapters, with which division was accepted by investigators down to Dillman. He very properly made the division into 108 chapters. Yeah, you got to be kidding me, right? That is not a coincidence, guys, that they divide this into 108 chapters. Yeah, if you want to know about the number 108, type it into Google and then type India behind it and see what you get. That is the reason why it is divided into 108 chapters. No other reason. This is not a coincidence. It's the same idea as the Bhagavad Gita. Alright, they also divide that into 18 chapters. What do you think 18 is? It's a 108 with the 0 removed, because after all, 0 is nothing. You see? It's divided into 3 parts. This Bhagavad Gita of 18 chapters. 3 times 6. 666. Interesting, huh? They dazzle you with numbers, guys. Yeah, Professor A.G. Hoffman of Jena issued a full translation of Enoch with copious notes in 2 parts. Das Buch Henoch, the Book of Enoch, in vollständiger Übersetzung mit fortlaufendem Kommentar, ausführliche Einleitung und erläuterten Exkursen. Okay, that's all German. Something like the Book of Enoch in a full translation with walking commentary. Walking, how do you put that in English? I don't know. Walking comments, I guess. Bhagavad Gita is one of his favorite books, says Dan B. Cooper. Well, you better be careful. It's a very dangerous book. Yeah. It really is. Depending on which translation you have, you know. If you're only reading the verses, even then it's a very dangerous book. All again, depending on which translation you have. It's written in Sanskrit, and it's full of philosophy, but they drag this philosophy into, as far as I'm concerned anyway, psychopathic conclusions. You know? The idea that you can kill people, for instance, is accepted in the Bhagavad Gita, and you don't even have to worry about it. Oh, you can just kill your relatives, it's no problem. You know, that's what it says in the Gita. So be very careful. Okay, let's see. Before proceeding to the special, I just skipped a little, guys. Before proceeding to the special examination and analysis of the book before us, it is highly important that the question of the trustworthy or untrustworthy character of the Ethiopic translation to be discussed. Is the Ethiopic translation a reliable version of the Greek and Enoch? Alright. It somehow gets translated into Greek. Alright. And then they wanna say that this is a reliable version, you see, and then compare the Ethiopic translation to the Greek one. Now, I don't think that's a correct way of trying to find out whether something is trustworthy or untrustworthy. For it is evident that the translation belongs to the early period of Ethiopic literature, when the literature in the Greek language was copied and translated by the Abyssinian theologians. Exactly, you see? So, that is not a way to find out if something is truthful or not. Before the introduction of Arabic influence and models, Enoch is then, like all of the best specimens of literature of Abyssinia, the Bible, the Book of Jubilee, the fourth book of Ezra. Ezra. That's where he got his name from. There's a Dutch writer here called Ezra Pound. I'm not even sure he's Dutch. But, so that's where he got his name from anyway. And can I still not copy this? No, I still can't copy this. It's ridiculous, alright? Can't even find out Abyssinia, where that's from. I guess I'll just have to type it. how do you write this? A-B-Y-S-S. A-B-Y-S-S. I-N-I-A. I-N-I-A. Okay, now I can select this here. Now copy it. Control copy. Let's see if we can do this, guys. Google. And then paste. And then choop. African. Ethiopian Empire. Abyssinia. Okay. Alright, now we know a little more. It's Ethiopia indeed. Whether the Greek is the original language of the book or the Hebrew or Aramaic will be discussed later. I thought it was Ethiopian. Here we have to decide on the relation existing between the Ethiopic and the Greek, from which our Enoch is a translation. As the Greek text, with the exception of some fragments, has been lost, this question cannot be apodictically decided, but there is a means of reaching a probable result sufficient to permit us to trust the text as we find it in the Ethiopic translation. Yeah, that's what I would do. I would go to the Ethiopic one. This result can be reached in two ways. First by analogy, by seeing whether those translations of which the original Greek has been preserved are faithful representations of these originals, and thus learning the general manner in which translations were made in Ethiopia. And secondly, by comparing the fragments of Enoch that still remain with the translation. Following the first method, we naturally begin with the comparison of the version of the Bible, translated in the early days of Christianity among the Ethiopians, not from the Hebrew, but from the Septuagint. Never heard of that. Here only one authority has a right to speak, the editor of the Octategus Ethiopiacus, Professor Dillman, as late as 1877. After years of diligent research on the subject, his judgment of this translation and its relation to the Greek is as follows. With regard to the translation, it must be said that it is a very faithful one, generally giving the Greek text verbatim, often even the relative position of the words. It abbreviates only now and then whatever seemed superfluous, and must, on the whole, be called a successful and happy version. Notwithstanding its entire fidelity to the Greek text, it is very readable and, especially on the historical books, smooth and frequently coincides with the meaning and words of the Old Testament in a surprising manner. That's interesting. Of course, there is a difference in this respect between the different books. The Ethiopic translators were by no means very learned men. Oh, really? You say that because you're a professor? Unbelievable, right? These Ethiopian translators probably have more stories about ancient mythology in their head than you have, Mr. Professor. So denigrating, that's not a correct word, right? So negative about these Ethiopic translators. Well, they lived a long time ago, so they must have been stupid. That's the way you thought there, Mr. Professor. You know, you're like, I'm from the modern age. I'm learned. Go on. Get lost. The same must be said of the translation of Pastor Hermea, although here the sins of omission are much more frequent, especially in simultitudinous, it's probably a chapter, which are rather an epitome of the Greek than a translation. See? They omit things, like 9/11 Commission, you know? Yeah. Positive mistakes do indeed now and then occur, but the main deviation from the Greek are found in the omissions. See, he should write here, occulting. Yeah, you know, they don't want you to know, so they leave it out. It's, by the way, it reminds me of Nathan, who was pointing out that dictionaries, they are leaving out words there also. You know, that's why a couple of events ago, I took the old dictionary I have here to look up a word. You know? Old dictionaries are better. Yeah. They are by no means of much importance as to context, except possibly that's similitudinous, something like that. It's a chapter. Verse 2 or 5:2. And it would be difficult to decide who made these omissions. Well, That's the translator, right? Whether they were already found in the original of the translator or introduced by him, or are to be ascribed to a copyist. A close comparison between the Ethiopic and the Greek text proves conclusively that the former is what can be called a good translation. Okay, so it can also be, like with the Hammurabian text, for instance, that parts are just missing. Okay, so then you'd obviously have to omit, because you have no other choice. By the way, those are a horrific set of rules, the Hammurabian Code. As the Greek text of the Physiologus has never been issued in a critical edition, a reliable examination of the fidelity of the old Ethiopic translation can scarcely be made. Yet the evidence seems sufficient to justify an opinion equally as favorable as that passed on the version of the Bible and on Pastor Hermea. Okay. I only got a couple of minutes left, guys. Let's see, before I forget, thanks everybody for coming in the chat. Dan, Jax, Joe, Jules, Lady Pitbull, Mike, Solvinur, Iota, Meows, and to Anons. So, picking this up for the last couple of minutes. From the evidences, then, that can be regarded as valid, we are, from analogy, allowed to expect that the Ethiopic translation of Enoch will, on the whole, be a faithful one, although occasional mistakes and omissions may occur. This opinion is that's all interesting, guys. Let's skip that. And, move to special introduction. The Book of Enoch is an apocryphal work. Etymologically, the word apocrypha does not, and originally did not, possess the senses in malamportum in which it is now generally used. Apocrypha. Okay, that's interesting. Let's look that up indeed in an etymological dictionary. Etymological dictionary. Online. How do you write that anyway? Apocrypha. Apocrypha. Let's see if he even has it. Yes, it does have it. Apocrypha. Of doubtful authenticity, it says. Interesting. From Apocrypha and al. Middle English had apocryph. 14th century. Late 14th century. Neuter plural of late Latin apocryphus. Secret. Not approved for public reading. Isn't that interesting, right? That's what apocryphal means. Secret. Not approved for public reading. Who decides what is approved for public reading or not? Huh? Can you fracking believe that? And then to occult even that, it's of doubtful authenticity. You know? From Greek apocryphos, hidden, obscure, and thus books of unknown authorships, especially those included in the Septuagint and Vulgata, but not originally written in Hebrew. Yeah, right. I thought things were translated into Hebrew from Latin, and not accounted as genuine by the Jews. Well, I don't really care if it's accounted as genuine by the Jews. Like they are the authority on what scripture is authentic or not. You got to be kidding me, right? From apo, away, see, apo, kryptine, to hide, kryptonite. Yeah, that's the word I'm just putting in here, kryptonite. To hide, see, crypt. Crypt is a dungeon. Yeah. Properly plural, the single would be apokryphon, I mean, but commonly treated as collective singular. Huh. And then there's more about Raphael, proper name, biblical archangel, apokrypha, from late Latin, from Greek Raphael, to Hebrew Raphael, literally God has healed. Ah. So Rapha is to heal and El is God, you see. Now it says here indeed, from Rapha he healed and El is God. So, interesting, right? Secret, not approved for public reading. That's what it means. 14th century, apokrypha. Yeah. The question is, who decides what is or not approved for public reading, you see? Yeah, Dan, it does seem like that. Both mean hidden. Yes, apocryphal means hidden. Indeed, that's what it looks like. Occulted. Secretive. Cryptid. That's, the word crypt is interesting here. Apocryphal, you lose the word apo and you get cryphal, which ends you up with crypt. Sounds like script. You see? Ha! To scribe. Script. Cripple. Jeez. Scribble. Huh. It sounds like people that were writers were actually taking part in hiding things. You see? That's what it ties a little bit to what I always say, that language is the prison in which we are programmed. You know? That's what it ties to, in my opinion. We're gonna continue this next week, guys. At a special introduction, we'll pick this up again. Canonical and apocryphal are then not in themselves contradictory terms, and the book could be both at the same time. Hence, too, we can easily understand how Epiphanius called the Revelation GTR. What the heck is a GTR, guys? Without thereby casting the least reflection on its apostolic origin and canonical authority. Revelation! You know what that means? To reveal, to unveil. Revelation is going to show you something. To reveal something. Possibly a plan. Although the Old Testament books now called Apocrypha were received with some suspicion by the early fathers, practically they were regarded as of equal authority with the canonical writings. Okay, that's it, guys. I hear the music coming in. Thanks for listening. I'll be back next week. See ya then. Take care, people.
Inside job. How dare you? How dare you?
To create, so to say, mass-produced models of human beings arranged in some kind of a scientific caste system.